Hello and welcome to Jamie's Motion Graphic, episode 25! So kind of a milestone here. Today we're making this. All of this has been made in After Effects and all of this has been made from scratch. I will teach you step by step how you can make it yourself. Okay, here we are in After Effects. We are going to start off with a new composition and this is going to be 1280 by 720, 30 frames per second. The 30 frames is semi-important because we're going to use half seconds. So if you want to use quarter seconds, you set this to something that's dividable by 4. Anyway, for me it's only divided by, or I can divide it by 2, so it's all good. I don't have to rename it. I'm going to make it in one go. Click this. And we're going to do it with a shape layer. Doesn't really matter what you use, so whether you use a shape layer or a solid in this case, because both would be fine, but I'm going to use a shape layer because of the advantages a shape layer has, which is that you can correct afterwards. And with the shape layer selected, I'm going to draw a circle. Holding shift makes that I get a nice perfect circle. Doesn't matter, but it allows me to not have to change this. I can just keyframe it, setting it to 0 in a moment, but first of all we're going to go to about 2 seconds. Well, no, exactly 2 seconds. Yeah, we have to be a little bit exact this time. And we're going to set the size here to 1500. And at 0, now we can do that, we're going to set it to 0. Yeah, you can run into trouble if you do the thing first, the 0 here, because sometimes it doesn't recognize that it's a circle, and then you will get into trouble when you try to scale it up. But if you do the large one first, then you will never run into trouble. Anyhow, we're going to set everything to 0 here, except for the scale, of course. So 0 rotation, which is not a problem with a circle, of course. The position is going to be at 0, the anchor point is going to be at 0, so everything is just 0. And you can see what it does. From 0 to 2, it just expands. That's all it does. It's not really spectacular, but hey, it doesn't have to be spectacular as a single entity to make it spectacular as a complete animation. This is going to be a very simple circles animation, so keep that in mind. Anyhow, we're going to add a new null object here. The null object is an object that you can use as basically a reference. So in this case, I want to move this around and then have the layer follow it. It's kind of easy. So we're going to select both layers, we're going to hit P, then we're going to alt-click on the stopwatch here. You should know by now how this works. And we're going to just pick with this position so that it follows the null object. Then we're going to actually program the null, with only one selected, so only the null object selected. We're going to hit the position keyframe thingy, the stopwatch, and we're going to just make it do stuff. So yeah, I didn't really plan anything out as of yet, but let's just make a movement. The thing is, we're going to keep it in the bottom left quadrant. It doesn't really have to be the bottom left quadrant. You can do whatever you want. No, I want this one. Let's lock this one for now, so we can only move our null object. So I just set a few keyframes. I'm just going to make some very easy movements here. We can of course make it as elaborate as we want. Make sure that you stay well within 640 and 720. Well, no, not 720, 360. So you don't want to go to the top because it's going to be redundant and it will look kind of crappy in your end animation. You can go outside of the screen if you want to. It's not great, but it'll work. Anyhow, I'm going to drag this up to here then. I'm just trying to make an interesting move, and once again make sure that you don't go over the 360. And then we're going to go to, where are we, 6 seconds, something like that. Oh, we were at 5, so let's make 7 seconds. I don't want it to move too quickly. Basically, this is already too quickly. Let's move this to 6 and then go to 8. It doesn't have to be precise here. This movement is not very important. Come on, position. Let's go. Yeah, maybe I should zoom in a little bit more so I can actually see what I'm doing. Yeah, let's set it to 0, 720. There you go. Going upwards then, I guess, for like 2 seconds. 2 seconds would be over here. Yeah, let's set this to 360. Oh, that's the wrong one, of course. Let's set this to 360. That's the one. So yeah, I'm going off screen here a little bit. If you don't want that, then you can just drag this back in and make it something else. It's quite easy. You can even set it so that yeah, it will be a more interesting movement. It doesn't really matter what you make. This is where your ingenuity comes up, and you can make very interesting patterns, because you will see these will all turn out to be patterns, because we're not done yet, obviously. If this was where we're done, then I guess this tutorial would have been kind of pointless. We're going to set it to about here. That's fine. Maybe here. And then go 2 seconds later to the middle. And that's where our animation ends for now. It doesn't have to, of course. You can make it as long as you want, because that is the way it works. So I'm going to make it this long, which is well, currently 14 seconds, but it still has to scale up, so it's 16 seconds total. At 14, the last one will be released, and then at 16, the animation will actually end, and you can stop or you can continue, as I said. Yeah, so make your thing, your settings here long enough. I currently have them to 35 seconds. Which is long enough if you want to do 14 seconds. But if you're planning to make a minute-long thing with like slow movements or maybe faster movements in between somewhere, just make sure you have enough space, because we're going to work with a lot of layers, like 200 or something. If you make a 30-second animation, you get something like 168 layers. So keep that in mind, because if you mess it up, yeah, you will pay for it, and you really don't want that. Anyhow, unlock the shape layer, and we can lock the null object now. So what we currently have is this. It expands, and then it does nothing while it moves around. But what we want to do is this expanding, and then at half a second we want a new one to come out, and then at 1 second a new one, and then at 1.5, and then at 2, and so on. So every half a second a new shape should appear, and well, just that's the way it is. So how are we going to do this? Well, the easy way to do this is just to say at half a second we're going to duplicate this one and put it over here, right? And then you say I want a new color. The color is going to be this, and then we will actually be able to see it. Hang on, at half a second. So then we will actually be able to see it. Sure, this works. By the way, I do want to, I'm going to only do it for this one, but I do want to turn off the stroke by just deleting it completely. And yeah, by doing so, I will not have these awkward little lines there. So yeah, you can do it like this, but here, this is not going to work out for us in the end, because what we want to do is we want to have multiple circles, and I'm going to do 4 circles. So just so you know, you can make more just by, well, adjusting what I'm doing to what you want it to do. Duplicate this, and we're going to set the position on this one, or I can just hit U. U will bring up everything that you edited. Well, not edited, everything where you make keyframes, everything that changes over time, basically. And what we're going to do is, this one is also linked to the null object. So what we're going to want to achieve is, we want to achieve this being, well, basically an entity on its own, which moves according to the null object, but slightly different. So what we do want, for example, if we type for the x, we have 1280 as our maximum value, and we do 1280 minus the x component of the position, which is position and then these sharp brackets and then 0, and then comma the y, and the y is the same. So, and then you have to end and begin with a sharp bracket, the entire thing. But yeah, what it does now, it will react exactly opposite to the other one. So the y will be the same, but the x will be exactly opposite. So yeah, you can't really see it too much. Here you can see it a little bit. So even though the null object goes to the left, this one goes to the right. And now we're going to duplicate that again, and we're going to hit U and change the expression again. So instead of 1280 minus this for the x, we're going to just take the normal x, and we're going to do the same to the y. The y is 720, so we're going to hit 720 minus the value, which means that now this one will go up. So instead of down, it goes up. So yeah, I picked the bottom left quadrant. You can also do top left or top right, bottom right, whatever, as long as you stay in one quadrant. But here you can also see why I didn't want to cross over in another quadrant, because it's already mirrored. So all you're doing is making the same movement that you would have been doing, except that now it's this one instead of this one, but it doesn't make a difference. I mean, the viewer can't see the difference between the circles. Anyhow, we're going to hit U here. We're going to make this expression into the only one that's still remaining, which is 1280 minus this and 720 minus that, which means it's going to the top right. Because we are in the bottom left, it mirrors the y, it also mirrors the x. Wow, can't speak all of a sudden. And well, what we have now is 4 layers that together will make one movement. And yes, this looks kind of weird, but it will look better once we're done with it. And we can actually, no, let's not. I wanted to say we can actually just add some more stuff. Well, I'm still going to do it. Screw this. I'm still going to do it. I want to have a little bit of a pause in the beginning to just get people's eyes a little bit relaxed. So for the first 2 seconds, we're not going to move. So the beauty about this entire thing is that all the movement is in the null object, and the only thing that's in the shape layers is actually the scaling up of one sphere, or no, circle, I should call it. So that's the only thing that's in here. So what's currently happening, by the way, is this one will expand for 2 seconds, and then it will start moving. That way you get like 2 seconds to just adjust to the fact that you're watching something, and it's a little bit better than starting straight off with complex movements. Anyhow, what we're doing now, and this is going to be very, very boring, but hey, it has to be done. We're duplicating this, then we're dragging it up to the top, and then we're going to half second. So let's see, half a second. So just drag this to half a second. And then we're going to pick this and then Control D, drag everything to the top, drag everything to 1 second. Well, not everything, but it will double in size every time, so it will go pretty quickly. So it's 2 to 4, and then 4 to 8, and then 8 to, hang on, we need to be at 2 seconds here. So 2 seconds. If you're having trouble finding your keyframes, page up, page down is your friend. So yeah, now it's from 8 to 16, and this is where it starts going really quickly, because then 16 becomes 32, and 32 becomes 64, and then we're kind of there. I don't know how far in I am currently, but yeah, just make sure that between every step there's exactly half a second, because we will notice it very much if it's not exact. So we're going to do one more, I guess. I don't know where I am. I'm currently at, yeah, I'm at about 8 seconds. Well, I am actually at 8 seconds. Let's see where, because I don't know where I left my animation. Actually, it's 16 seconds that I need. So I need to duplicate this. Control D. Then we have 128 layers, and as I said, you have quite a lot of layers, depending on how many you want. But yeah, this is the way it works. So currently we're at 15.5 seconds, and we can actually do like half a second more. So if you only want half a second more, you only need to duplicate one, of course. And then we're going to duplicate that. Control D. Drag it to the top. 132 layers. Yeah, that sounds about right. So yeah, if you're having trouble with your computer not being able to render this much, you can actually do like half of it and then make a new animation, just copying the last few, because they will disappear off of the screen. So in my case, it doesn't really matter because my computer can handle this. But if you're having trouble, then just say like, okay, I'm only going to do like 30 layers, or 32 in this case, and then I'm going to just pick up the last 4 layers or something that are on screen, and just, yeah, I'll show you in a moment, because currently everything is purple and it looks terrible. Okay, we're going to pick up the entire thing here, except for the last layer. The last layer should be locked because we're not going to change it anymore. And what we're doing is we're picking our first color. Well, I want to start with either a black or white background, depending on, well, what mood I'm in, basically. Currently, we're starting with a black background, and we're going to take, let's first take black, and then we're going to just hit fill here, because that's how it works. You just pick fill, and you pick your first color. So from this, we're going to start with blue. Well, let's just take this blue, and we're going to see the difference here between our original color, which is black, and our next color, so currently blue. We're just going to hit OK once we find a nice color. So I picked it a little bit to, well, the north side of where we were, and now we're going to do it again. So I deselected 4 layers, and now I'm going to do it again. I'm going to keep to the right side. I'm going to go all the way up, then I'm going to go to the left, then I'm going to pick a different color, and we're going to go back. But yeah, just keep to the right side and make sure there's a little bit of color difference between them, and then you're golden. So 4 layers deselected, once again, fill. Yeah, that's good enough. 4 layers deselected, go to fill. A little bit higher. It's a little bit too much, maybe. We want to have like nice color changes, but not too fast, because the slower the color changes, as long as it's noticeable, the better it looks. So we're just going to go, well, do this over and over again until we have all our layers selected, but only 4 at a time. Unless you want to have separate animations in, well, the different quadrants, but I personally like to have all 4 of them do exactly the same. And yeah, that's my style. If you want something that is different, then you make something that is different. I'm just showing you how it's made. I'm not telling you how to actually do it, because I don't really care. I would like you to experiment with it. Maybe you can make something super beautiful out of it that I just didn't think of. So now we're going to go to the top. So we reached the top right, and now we're going to go to the left, but we stick to the top. So deselect 4, select this, select the next color, a little bit too bright, there we go. And yeah, some colors just have this this tendency to change very rapidly. So yeah, they will have a lot of color difference in a very small area, while other colors you can, yeah, basically skip up until here, and then you won't even be able to tell there's a real difference. But yeah, that's up to you. If you want to have more color change in yours, then feel free to do so. It actually looks quite nice if you do like 4 to 6, even though I have like, I don't know, 12 currently or something like that. 12 layers before I'm actually done with one of these sides. But yeah, it's all up to you. I like to go gradual today. But yeah, I have to say I also made one where it was a little more abrupt. I'll put that behind the video so you can see that one as well. I'm going to put this one in front of the video because people like to see what they're getting into. And yeah, that's why I show you the end result in the beginning, even though it's not done yet. So I know, for example, Andrew Kramer from Video Copilot does it the exact opposite. So he makes one judge. I made one as well, but as I said, I wanted to test out how the effect works. But yeah, he shows you what he's doing, so kind of the thing that he's trying to make, and then he tries to recreate it. But well, that's not my style currently. So we're going to go into a little bit more of a greenish color. And as you can see, now we're coming from white, so we can switch colors. White and black can switch colors, and that's how I'm doing this. So 4 more. And if you have a lot of frames or a lot of these layers, then you can get a lot of color changes off. I don't know if I actually switched already. I think I did turn off this layer, right? Yes, I did. Yeah. So next color, I'm not really concentrating here, which is kind of a problem if you're doing something like this, because it's not like you're going to do this correctly automatically. You have to actually focus on when you're changing colors and when you're deselecting layers. So there might be 1 or 2 mistakes in there, but they're really easy to avoid if you just concentrate, which I'm not doing obviously, because I'm trying to explain to you how the thing works. And that kind of makes, here, see, the color difference here is so small, even though that step was kind of big. But yeah, you can, as I said, make way bigger. Yeah, this is virtually the same color, which is kind of not what I wanted, but hey, whatever. For now, it'll do fine. And then if we go to the bottom, it will change very rapidly. So that's the way it goes sometimes. Anyhow, let's just continue to the bottom here with similar steps. And once we reach black, if we still have frames available, we can go into a completely different color. Some colors are really nice. Some colors are like, ugh, why did I pick that, man? But yeah, you only get to pick one color at a time, and then you have to do the entire thing if you want to do it like this. The reason why we're doing it like this, by the way, is because now we can see what the color on the previous layer was. So if I selected 4 layers at a time and changed the color, I wouldn't be able to see the last color used. So you would basically have to pick a new color every time. Now all I have to do is make a step, and I can see the color difference instantly. And that, to me, was a big enough advantage to do it like this. Now we're going to go all the way to black. You can see that's a pretty big difference. And there we go, exactly black. So now we can actually preview this. Obviously it will oh, there's, I think, 1 layer. Yeah, here there's 1 layer, wherever this is, where it didn't change colors. Yeah, right here somewhere. So this layer and this layer have the same color, or at least seem to have the same color. Man, that's either a very small color difference. They seem to have different colors now. So I don't know where this one is then. It is white. The other one just comes in very rapidly. Don't know what happened here. Yeah, I should have copy-pasted everything. Why did it do this? The keyframes here did not move with the layer. That is kind of strange. They should of course move with the layer, because that's the way it's programmed. Let's see if there are more layers like that. Oh my... all of them. Seriously? Okay, so I corrected everything. Of course, you can avoid that, so please do. What you need to do is you need to check these things before you copy paste everything. So be precise, and otherwise you have to adjust 132 layers in this case. It wasn't too much work because most of them were actually correct. It's just that there were one or two off in like the first 8. So yeah, 25% of them was wrong, and yeah, that kind of is a lot if you have a lot of layers. Anyhow, it seems that yeah, we have an animation now, and now we're going to just put on a logo in the end, just for the fun of it. So let's go to import file, pick a logo, and put the logo in here right up top. And then we're going to just drag the logo to where it should start to move in, which is right at 16 seconds. So when the last one spawns, we can of course zoom in a little bit better, because yeah, we want that to be exact, just like everything else. So we're going to just use the scale to scale it. Currently, we're going to start at 0. We're going to end at 100% when this is right here. Maybe I should have even made that bigger. Let's see how it actually scales on. Oh. And of course you need to set the stopwatch, because, well, otherwise it doesn't understand. So from 0 to 100%, let's see how it actually gets on. So yeah, that looks nice. And then we're going to just say, okay, here we are. Maybe we can make this into an easy ease keyframe, so that it comes on and it kind of moves a little bit less abrupt. I don't know. Everything seems fine. Anyhow, yeah, we ended with a black background. Total coincidence, but you can of course steer towards that. It's all what you want, so yeah, just make what you want. So I'm going to cut it off here at 20 seconds. So go to composition settings, set this to 20, and then yeah, that's all you need to do. So you can render it out, and that is it. So the only thing that we did basically, if we hit U, is we adjusted the size on the first one before we started to copy paste it. We also put an expression in the position, which basically says for all 4 layers it says something different. But yeah, you saw that. It's either the null object position, or it's the null object position and then with a value in front of it, or minus that. So 1280 minus the position, or 720 minus the position for the y. And then of course you want to pick the x and the y coordinates separately. So this way it will just make 4 blocks. You can of course also make 6 blocks. So for the if you want the 5 and 6 to be over here, for example, you can just say, well, I want the x value to always be 0. I want the y value to either be the same as the block, so the null object, so then it goes like this, or I want 720 minus that value, and then it goes over here. And you can do whatever you want. The thing is, of course, if you come too close to them, or actually intersect with them, then they will merge into one, which can be a very nice effect. But yeah, it can also not be what you want. So just keep that in mind. So I made it with 4, and the advantage of making it like this, by the way, is that you get these nice well, merges automatically. So you never have to worry about well, this one, for example, so the lighter green one overlapping the darker green one, because Well, they're actually on top. So the smaller ones are always on top of the bigger ones, so they will always slide under them, which means that you get these nice merges without having to worry about anything else. And well, that's just very awesome. So I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed, and I will see you next time.